Hello, I'm Anni. I'm 21 years old and I'm Finnish. Learning languages has always been fun to me, and I've been very motivated and interested to learn it and how to use it. First with English, then like us Finnish people, we learn also Swedish. That was in middle school, and then also in middle school I started to learn French. Then in high school I got more into it and started to learn, well, it was a small course of Italian and Spanish. Nowadays, with the app called Duolingo, I've been learning Polish, Japanese and also Portuguese. So, when I was in elementary school, I found YouTube around that time because I have an older sister who watched YouTube videos, and I think she watched music videos and also videos about cartoons there from that website. So eventually I would do that as well. During those times, I had my first real connection to English language, and that was before English lessons started at school. I already had some vocabulary ready, and if I didn't remember something or I didn't understand something I read or had heard somewhere in a video or something, I would ask my parents and they would help me and tell me what it meant. Both of my parents have actually been positive about traveling and foreign languages as well. So I would also hear English there during our vacations. Dad was always the one who guided us through our vacations and took care of check-ins at the airport and at the store, wherever. So traveling has also been a big factor, and forming that idea that seeing different cultures and meeting different people and learning the language it can lead to very fun conversations between people you would otherwise never meet. A few years ago, I used to think I only want to travel because I want to see the world, and that's still true, but it's a little bit something else too. For example, I want to travel to Poland not only because I want to see the culture, but I want to talk Polish there. It's interesting to me. Also the same thing with France. I once went to France already, but back then my French wasn't that good. So I want to go again and talk French with the local people. It's as an adult today, I really want to take my traveling experiences to something else and dive more deeper into the culture the locals have. And that's by communicating. I can make that experience happen by communicating with the locals, because language is very close to the culture after all. So, traveling and YouTube. Then there's video games. So around 14 years ago, in 2006 or 2007, I got my first handheld console, and almost all the games were in English. So I really had no choice, because Finnish is a language that doesn't get much game material. So I think I had only one game that was in Finnish, but all the other games were in English. So I was interested in games, but they were in English, but that didn't really bother me, because every time I had difficulties with the game, what do I have to do, or something like this, some kind of difficulty, I would just ask my dad what this game character wants me to do, and usually or often that would solve it, and I would eventually get past that difficult part. So in summary, YouTube, traveling, and video games all together have been a huge impact on my language skills and developing my interests. I think for me, since I started to learn English at school, I got even more interested on it, because in school you learn the months by learning some kind of song, and there are other kinds of songs in English textbooks, and I always thought those were so much fun. So since my interest was going very strong, by the time I was 10 or something, I started to add English to my personal interests, and also personal hobby as well. Because when I was 10 years old also, I made my first comics, and actually one of the first comics I ever created fully was in English, and although it had many mistakes, and it was, or it is, very hard to understand in some points of the story, I remember I was very proud of that back then, and I was very proud that I was able to create something in English. It was just something, it still is something very important to me, and since then I have actually been creating comics both in Finnish and in English. After growing up surrounded by this kind of environment, I think it only leaves for someone to truly learn the language a personal interest to learn. And that learning comes down to seeing, hearing, and using the language. Alright, so that was the video. It took me a while to make, but I think it was fun. So thanks for watching, and moi moi!